This is the MeatEater podcast coming at you shirtless, severely bug-bitten, and in my case, underwearless.
We hunt the MeatEater podcast.
You can't predict anything.
The MeatEater podcast is brought to you by First Light. Whether you're checking trail cams, hanging deer stands, or scouting for elk, First Light has performance apparel to support every hunter in every environment. Check it out at firstlight.com. FIRSTLITE.com. Joined today by Shayne Burke, fresh off a grizzly bear mauling.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me.
No, I'm joking. I'm not joking. He is. Shayne Burke is here, fresh off a grizzly bear mauling down in Wyoming, joined by his wife, Chloe.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
You're an EMT.
Yes.
Where do you EMT at, Chloe?
Well, so I'm currently non-affiliated. So
does that mean you're job hunting? Dude, if you're job hunting, I would pitch now hard. Yeah.
No, right now I'm currently working as a licensed EMT, working as a medical assistant, but I used to work in Springfield, Massachusetts.
Okay. So you're not job hunting right now?
Not currently.
No, she's in nursing school right now. So.
Oh.
Yep.
So you're going to move out of the EMT business?
Yeah.
But you were helpful in this whole mauling situation, I'm sure. We'll get into the details, but if I was going to get mauled by a grizzly bear, I'd want an EMT nearby.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of funny because I'm always joking with friends and stuff because people are like, oh, like, don't worry, Chloe's an EMT. I'm like, no, I really can't do that much. Like, don't make me work while I'm on vacation. Like, I can offer you an ice pack or,
Shayne was attacked by a bear in May, and we're gonna go through that whole harrowing story. But first I gotta tell these guys about something real quick. We have, my kid's been selling pigeons.
Do you know how your kid's been spelling pigeon?
Yeah, he spells it wrong. How'd you know he spells it wrong?
With the J? I always do that.
Text. I got that text. No, it's like the Hawaiian language pigeon.
Oh,
yeah. Like PIDGIN.
Yeah, he spells it wrong. He's a bright kid.
He is. I mean, he is.
No. One day he was, for some reason or another, I think I talked about this. He started to spell America wrong. And I'm like, you better stop.
How many M's?
You better stop and come back to me and spell your country properly.
Yeah. There's no K in there.
That's all.
Was it really? Oh no.
Yeah, he spells pigeon wrong. But so they get a nice little. We did a night raid on what the hell day is it right now? We did a night raid on Saturday night, and they wound up with $300 and some worth of pigeons.
Cool.
Wow.
Sold them all the next morning, and then now we have baby pets.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
So has he come to the logical conclusion of like, why burn the gas trapping these things?
No,
I'll just raise them at home.
Pets, dude. Like the neighbor girl kept one, and my kids kept two, and now they got these pigeons that you got to hand feed them. Yesterday we took sunflower seed and a couple Cheerios and ran it through a coffee mill and mixed water in it to make a paste and all kind of other little things. And they're feeding them with eyedroppers.
Careful, this is how Mike Tyson got started.
Well, yeah, I know. And
yeah, does your HOA...
Dude, my wife is so unhappy.
Does your HOA allow livestock operations?
My wife got to reading about, like, she was reading something that said that pigeons have more affiliated pathogens than rats.
You should show your boy and his crew's oh gosh, their money making side, those articles on racing pigeons, the value that racing pigeons bring in. And then he can start training them to race. And if he comes up with a winner, that'll be more money than his pigeon trapping business has ever brought in, hands down.
Yeah.
You could train him to be like Judith pigeons. Just
there
bring
you
them
go.
to you.
Yeah,
Bring the
when
crew
I've
home.
raised, I don't want to spend too much time on this. When I've raised pigeons in the past, here's a weird thing that would happen. You eventually lose them because they move in with regular pigeons.
Right.
Mhm.
Like I had a cage or like a little roost, like basically a chicken coop
Yeah.
for the pigeons. And you'd start to see regular pigeons hanging around, being like, what's gotten into you guys? You know what I mean? Like they'll hang around, and then pretty soon your pigeons will move in with the regular pigeons.
Yeah.
And the town where I was doing this didn't have a lot of regular pigeon hangouts, and I put red zip ties on mine. And you could go down there, and now and then you'd see one of your old pigeons hanging out with the town pigeons. They
gotta be tough.
hang out with the townies.
That's got to be tough.
Oh, found a bad crew.
They fall in with the downtown
Smoking
crowd.
cigarettes, hanging out late.
Mhm.
That's
So-
pretty cool though. That they go feral so quick.
Yeah.
Even
Well-
though they were kind of dependent on you for a long time.
Well, they need to because they were reading about how they can live 17 years in the wild or 17 years and not in the wild.
In captivity.
Yeah, and this is not yeah.
It's not a 17-year.
It's not a
No,
long plan.
I'm not in this.
It's not your retirement program.
Is it indoor or outdoor at your house?
They're not allowed in the house. They live in the
Seems
garage.
reasonable.
There's a space heater on them.
So I actually banned peregrine falcons.
Oh, you did?
And every year, this is the first year I'll miss because of the bear attack, but lots and lots of bans, pigeon bans
in nests?
towns. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where were you banning peregrines?
So it's actually interesting because I was listening to an episode where Janis brought up rock climbers. So we're rock climbers, and you had mentioned how the impact that we have on
Nesting
raptors.
sites. Yeah.
No, that was Cal.
Yeah.
Cal
Oh,
was
it's Cal.
talking.
Sorry. Okay.
Well, and
So-
I'll point out, in Cal's defense, he was making a.
Oh, I know. And,
Okay, yeah.
At first, I was like,
I
"Oh,
thought it
this."
was
He was
This
making
has
like a
happened?
for instance.
Yes,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
no,
But
and we
also,
do-
I have
He also
lots of
hates rocks.
buddies. I have lots of buddies who are rock climbers, so I've gotten really good at making fun of rock climbers and the rock climbing lifestyle.
yeah.
So
We're easy
we
to
need to
make
go
fun
down
of.
that tangent.
yeah.
You freeloaders eating people's food off their plates and
Oh,
shit
yeah.
like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I did see red for a heartbeat. I was like, oh man, like for real, he's knocking down on the rock climbers, and then I saw that you flipped it, and it was a hypothetical. We do have an impact, like as any outdoor sport has an impact on wildlife. So, I actually
That's very
manage,
adult of you to recognize.
Yeah, I manage the falcon closures at our local crags. I help mass wildlife.
Oh, really?
Yep. So we closed down entire sections for 2 months.
So you're like the bad guy now and then.
Somewhat. Yeah, I'm the guy that will show up and be like, dude, get the hell away from the fucking birds. Like, leave them alone. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, we banned them. I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years now. So,
No kidding.
That's sweet.
that's great.
We just released an episode with RFK Jr., who was involved in peregrine restoration. When they realized that that he used the term double clutching
Oh, yeah.
when they were trying to like repopulate peregrines.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you hear about if whatever any kind of bird will lose its first clutch,
Yeah.
like a turkey, it'll lose its clutch. If it's early in the spring, they'll get a second chance, possibly a third chance.
Mm-hmm.
So when they were trying to propagate peregrines, the bird would drop a clutch and they'd just kidnap the clutch.
Mhm.
And then she'd drop another clutch and they'd kidnap that and then incubate all those. And she would keep thinking she was losing her offspring and she would double clutch or triple clutch,
Mm-hmm.
which
They're-
sounds like an automotive term, but
Yeah. They're not the best nest builders. They don't build any nests. They just drop the eggs.
plop it down wherever.
Yeah. So sometimes they'll steal nests from like ravens and stuff,
Yeah.
but they're not very good at that part.
You know what a
So,
pigeon uses for a nest?
like a stick.
It uses its own. I've never read this. This is my observation. They build a nest of their own excrement.
Oh, yeah.
And then they wonder why they get the reputation they have. How did you wind up in the military, man?
Always wanted to.
Yeah. So since you were growing up?
Yeah. My dad served. My uncle served. 9/11 happened. I was young, but I always wanted to do my part. I wanted to do more. I was going to go infantry and do XYZ, but my dad had a really real conversation with me and kind of talked me out of infantry. The stars just kind of aligned the way they did. When I got out of basic training in tech school, my unit was deploying to Iraq. So I was like, you know what, I'll go to Iraq, see how it goes, and then I'll see where my military career can go after that. Got back from Iraq, had a little trouble readjusting, wanted to go back really badly. Never happened. But, you know, I met some of the best people in my life because of that deployment, and I'll never regret that. So,
But I got lost there. You wanted to go infantry,
correct.
but still wound up, and I don't understand. What were you doing?
So I'm a mechanic.
Okay.
Yeah. And my overall specialty is what we call Hotel 8, which is recovery of vehicles. So, like, if they get blown up, broken down, I'm basically a fancy tow truck driver that drives a really badass truck called a Hemet Wrecker.
Okay. And then you spent how much time there?
I was in country for 11 months, and then...
And you didn't like coming home?
No, coming home sucked.
What didn't you like? Well, tell me about that.
It's like, you know, one of my mentors always told me the Army is the easiest job you'll ever quit. And it's so simple there. You just got to survive. You're told where to be and when to be there, what to wear. It's just very regimented lifestyle. Coming home and just trying to navigate, you know, post-traumatic stress, drinking, friendships, relationships. It was a lot. I came home with more money in my bank account than I ever had, and should have bought a house at the right time. I didn't, but, you know, instead I bought a sports car and was an idiot for a little while.
How old are you?
I am 35 now.
How long you two been married?
Going on 2 years in September.
So you didn't know each other prior to service.
No.
You came home and bought a sports car.
Yeah. I bought a Mustang, as most idiots do when they come home from a tour. And
They
so
give you like little discount codes when you're getting off the airplane.
yeah, no, I actually bought it when I was in country still, directly from the factory. So I put like 16 grand down. My payment was like $100 a month. I was just like, you know, it was too easy. Yeah, so
You went a little crazy.
Went a little crazy. Yeah, I think it's a very standard, like I'd say more than 50% of the people that come back, they deal with these adjustment issues. And at the time, the VA was not very helpful, and I was trying to like get counseling and trying to get out of these bad habits that I had developed. Eventually, I got in trouble and had to smarten up. So, yeah.
And then you had a mega health scare. We're gonna get to getting mauled by a grizzly bear.
Yeah. I mean, so
But first, you had to survive like a tumor to get mauled by a bear.
So here's the thing,
It
like,
almost sounds made up.
yeah, my life story really almost sounds made up. I've had a lot of loss and health issues in the last 4 years.
Can we pause this for a minute? Because I
Sure.
forgot to mention something.
Yeah.
You and I didn't realize this. We had like sort of interacted in the
Right.
past.
Yep.
Because you had sent in pictures. Just tell the
Yeah. So
like you know, brain tumor, you know, all that. But let's just talk about this dead
Sure.
deer for a minute.
yeah. So
Let's talk about the dead deer.
So the deer was still alive when I found it.
It was.
It was, yeah.
Tell this
and that's
story.
why it was so controversial.
And I didn't even remember this till like this morning.
Yeah.
Shayne came in. We're getting ready to court. Shayne said, we interacted. Like you posted a picture of mine, and he showed me, and it was this. He'll tell you what it was.
Yeah. So I was scouting for a secondary spot my first year of hunting by myself. So I used to hunt with my father when I was a kid. Through some loss, my dad stopped hunting. We lost my brother in 2012. So that really set him back.
How old was your brother?
27.
Oh no, really?
Motorcycle accident. Yep.
Huh.
So my dad pretty much stopped anything that brought him joy. So anyway, in 2020, when my dad passed away, I took all his hunting gear and I was like, you know, I'm going to try to reconnect to my father the best way I can. So I started hunting. That year that fall, I got a beautiful hen turkey. We had that for Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, really?
Yep. It was amazing. First time cooking wild turkey, and it came out amazing.
That's cool.
So then I did deer season shotgun because I didn't have my dad's bow ready in time. And I haven't shot a bow at this point for probably a decade. So I did shotgun season and I was scouting. I had my tree stand set up. I had special access to, I don't want to say it because I don't want people to blow the spot up, but it's so I probably gave it away anyway, but
We can take that
no,
out.
it's all good. It's all good.
Take it out, Phil.
Phil, do a big old like.
So I set up my dad's tree stand. I wore all my dad's clothes. I had my dad's ashes in my pocket, and I was looking for a secondary spot because I don't want to sit in the tree stand, too much during the 2-week shotgun season.
I got to know the detail though. How do you carry your dad's ashes in a bag?
I've got a little canister from my dad had a big mustache, and so he asked me to buy him some mustache wax one time. So I bought him some mustache wax, and so I have just a small sample of him in there.
I got my grandma's ashes, my allotment of them, in a Ziploc bag that I just chucked into my work backpack here. And I actually went to Mexico with them and back.
Nice.
And totally forgot they were in there. So, this baggie full of powder.
Sus. A little
Got
sus.
a little dusty in that bag.
No, I mean, nobody said anything about it, but I've yet had a good enough walleye day to dump her in the lake, which I think she'd enjoy.
Yeah, so I was just scouting for a secondary spot, and it was really windy the last couple of days.
Yeah, on a Sunday.
On a Sunday, yeah. So I had my Glock on me. That was it. And I found this cliff that had a little meadow below it, and I've always seen deer there. I see deer sign there all the time. Oh, this looks like a pretty good advantage point just as a secondary spot. So I walked left down the cliff band, and all of a sudden I just see this massive rack sticking out of the cliff. And I was like, the hell? And I'm a big shed hunter, so I noticed antlers pretty easily. And so I actually FaceTime Chloe, and I'm like, hey, you'll never guess what I found, like a dead deer in this cliff. I start walking up to it, and it lifts its head up, and I'm like, oh no. I was like, I gotta make some calls. So I ended up calling my friend Jesse, who is the guy who introduced me into the wildlife and the Falcon banding. And
this buck is sunk into a crack.
Right.
Like his feet. I can't even think. Like, who's good at? Have you seen the pictures?
I haven't.
I'll pull them up.
I'll do my
There's
best.
like
We need to put it up on the screen.
Yeah, you can do that. I can send him to one of you guys if you want.
he's in a crack. Like,
So yeah, he falls into this crack.
you gotta see it.
Yeah, it's pretty
A
wild.
picture's worth 1,000 words.
I don't know where any of your apps are. I'm sorry.
He's stuck in a crack.
How
It's
tall?
like there's like a little cliff. There's like a little cliff band, and where the cliff band at the bottom of the cliff band, there's a big boulder. But there's a crack.
He's wedged
Wedged
between the face of the cliff and the boulder as it curves inward towards the cliff.
Yeah.
And he's-
4 legs are poking down through there.
Mm-hmm.
And it is
And you can get under them and look up, and you can get above them and look down.
an impressive deer.
Oh, yeah, and I asked him if that's a nice buck around
an
that area.
exceptional deer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think unofficially scored like 153.
Wow.
Whoa. Let's
So-
see, Randall.
Yeah.
Nice
Oh,
buck.
I'm just looking at the picture now. There's a picture from underneath,
Yeah.
and it looks like he's Santa Claus trying to come down the chimney.
Yeah.
It's just like the legs
Santa was
are
a deer.
hanging down. Yeah, if Santa was a deer.
Okay.
So,
Still
yeah.
alive.
Yeah, so he's still alive, and so my friend Jesse came out, and
You could have tagged it.
so I got a salvage tag.
Oh, you
Yeah,
could've-
yeah, because at first Jesse was like, "Hey, like you're gonna have to use a tag for this," and I was like, "I mean, I guess so. Like it's Massachusetts, deer harder to come by, especially Western Mass." So I was like, "Yeah, whatever. It's not a big deal." Eventually, so we contacted EPO.
Did you
Environmental
euthanize it?
Police. Yep.
You
Yeah.
did.
So the EPOs told us to euthanize it.
Okay.
So we did.
And they let you make the call.
Yeah, we tried pulling him out.
Oh.
And if you see the fluid in his legs is all built up.
Yeah.
I was more afraid that he would run still on fight or flight, however, be dead very quickly by the coyotes and stuff. So
Yeah.
we made the choice to definitely put him down. He was been there for a while.
Yeah, he don't look like he's getting better.
No, he's pretty messed up. So we, field dressed him there. A biologist came out. He kept making the joke. He's like, man, if I didn't know better, this would be an elk, dude. It's the biggest deer you'd ever seen. He kept saying,
really?
yeah, it was a big boy. We never weighed him, but At least 200 pounds.
What do you think he was doing? Do you think he slipped off that cliff?
I do. So actually, when I emailed you, he actually had a cataract in his right eye. So I suspect he was walking the cliff band with that cliff on his right. So he's blind in his right eye.
Yeah, you said he was really old. Right?
Really old. Yeah, I think the biologist that came out estimated him at 8.5, close to 9 years old.
Me and my wife filled out our end of life stuff yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Did you describe this as the way you want to go?
No, I would have put myself in the. I basically would have said in that situation, I'd be in the euthanized bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like a what's that guy, Aaron Ralston, the 127 hours.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whittled his own arm off.
Yeah, he's just wedged between a rock and a hard place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can see where that poor sucker was raking the dirt above him too.
Yeah.
Trying to make us one last rub.
And then someone sent you a picture. Someone sent you a picture of an elk carcass. It looks like the same exact thing happened.
So I was getting a lot of flack for this.
But why are people messing with you about it? Who cares?
People just can't be happy for other people, or just, I don't want to say happy, but like this was just a real experience that I had, and I don't know.
And you put it on social media,
right? Yeah.
Just say like, "Oh my God, look, that's weird."
Like cool. It was a cool, unique experience, and
it delighted me to see that.
Yeah, and
so tell me about what are the criticisms?
Just like I was poaching, you know, and I did have a gun.
You jammed it all down in there.
Yeah, right. Like I chased.
It's a really elaborate trap.
Yeah. They
and it's so good at that you duped the biologist.
Right. Yeah, totally.
You're such a shrewd criminal. You shot a nice buck, jammed it in there, got the fluid to run down its legs, duped a biologist,
apparently,
and then walked away without even needing to use your tag.
Yeah, right.
You son of a bitch.
I'm picturing you wedging that boulder out with a stick and standing there with a string and a carrot. And
okay, so you poached it. I can see that.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of stuff
that's how I do
it. So actually, the biologist was really cool. He ended up taking it to his house, and then a couple days later, I went to his house and he showed me how to skin it and butcher it.
Really?
Yeah, the guy was awesome.
Chloe, I'm going to get away with this. That's all. Who'd have thought I'd go to the biologist?
Yeah.
Perfect alibi.
And the meat was good enough to eat for consumption.
We had the back straps pretty quick.
Was it all right?
It was good.
We ran out of
propane, so it was pretty rare. It was probably the rarest meat I've ever eaten.
So this is like a real thing about like high stress.
People, I mean, even
you want to talk about some high stress.
Yeah, while that deer was there, he was feeding them corn for like a week.
Right.
Just wanted to get it finished properly.
In your comments, people were like, "Oh, I would never eat that. How could you eat that? It's disgusting." Adrenaline. I'm like, dude, like, I don't know, man. It tastes like deer.
They didn't
I like
consider
venison.
that we're two high-stress individuals.
Yeah, right.
So.
Yeah. I made a nice Asian dish last night, and it was
That's a big continent.
It was told to me that the ingredient list was a little too intense, and it tasted good, but it was too intense because I used gizzard, liver, heart, turkey testicles, and then
an old buck he found wedged into it.
And then mule deer shank and stuff. It was really, really good. But it was the knowledge of the ingredient list that
adds up after a while.
And I said, well, then don't ask. No, I think it's good to know what you're eating.
Yeah, and a bear's eyeball.
Using it all.
What were the other criticisms? I'm just curious.
I mean, it was so long ago.
That you were Sunday hunting.
Yeah, I was Sunday hunting. Pressured this deer to fall off the cliff.
He chased it into the cliff.
Yeah,
it's like a buffalo jump.
Right. I was just gonna say that.
But there had to have been some number of people that just said, "Huh, that's cool."
Yeah, absolutely, totally. I mean, it got like
I haven't seen that before.
It got like 400 shares in the first couple hours in the morning.
Was that buck a total mystery buck, or did you have anyone like, I know that buck?
So like I said, this is like a lottery area that you got to apply for.
So it's just not many people.
I mean, I've in this area, not this specific area, but I hunt the surrounding area that's legal to hunt outside of the lottery, and I've got about 10 cameras up. I've never seen them. I have cameras there because I shed hunt there every year, and so
what
I've never
part
seen.
of the season was it? Like what?
This was the pretty close to shotgun season.
So what month?
Oh, sorry. Shotgun usually starts December, I think.
Oh,
so this was like a week before shotgun season.
All right, let's get back to the brain tumor.
Yeah.
But can you imagine the story some shotgun hunter would come up with if they came across that deer? Be like, oh, no.
Oh,
I shot it.
Oh,
yeah. It was running.
Yeah, no, I would never.
I think a lot of people would have been, it's Sunday, can't hunt Sunday, but I know where I'm going to be hunting Monday morning.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bring a come along.
Yeah. So back to the brain tumor. So it's called I can't pronounce it, but acoustic neuroma. Is that right? Okay, cool. I went to public school, so you know.
As did I think everyone at this table.
Mm-hmm. So so I found out post deployment to Poland that I had this brain tumor and that it needed to come out. It was a little bit smaller than a golf ball.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't keep it there, obviously. It was
Why are they always measuring tumors by golf balls?
I don't know.
Randall had a face tumor too.
Randall, yeah.
Yeah, this guy.
That one was the tip of your thumb.
Oh, they didn't do golf. They didn't do half a golf ball.
No. Unfortunately,
ping pong ball.
yeah.
So it's 2 golf balls.
I was
golf
really
ball.
shooting for a golf ball. I thought if I could get that, I'd feel like I'd have accomplished something.
It made Randall smarter.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Mine made me a little slower, but that's all right.
Randall's got a good story where when he, I think when it all came to a thing and you really hit the fan, he was in the middle of cooking from our fishing game cookbook.
That was my stroke.
Oh, that was
That was my stroke. Yeah, I was making a big batch of mule deer chili when I had a stroke, and then my wife came home later after I'd been taken to the hospital, and once it was clear that I was going to make it through the day, she said, "I packed up all that chili, but I haven't eaten any of it yet. Have you?" Because we didn't know what had happened. She's like, "Do you think it's okay to eat, or should I freeze it and we wait till we get the full write-up?" But actually, my tumor, when they woke me up from the surgery, Sydney handed me my phone and she said, "Steve Rinella texted you."
But what?
I said, "Oh my God!" I said, "You must have heard from Cal."
I was like, "Have you seen that badger around?"
No, what you said was, "Did you ever go to that spot I told you about? And if you did you see any bears there?" And I was like sitting there in the hospital with like blood all over, and just like, and I texted, "Yeah, saw a bunch of bears, maybe 6." And then immediately you responded, "Was it all just sows and cubs?" Continue. Those are my MeatEater related health jokes.
Nice. Yeah, so I basically, when we found out about the brain tumor, I actually ironically found out on my brother's death anniversary. So I was like, just really bizarre. I was alone, which really sucked. I shouldn't have like opened my patient portal and saw the diagnosis.
Yeah.
So,
and you were already getting a little deaf in your right ear.
Yeah, so I already was
What do
like,
you think that was related to?
Well, I mean, I knew it was related to, basically, the Army told me I had nerve damage, and just like from gunfire, and just loud noises, being a mechanic. All right, cool. Yeah, makes sense, I guess. It's not uncommon for people in the military to go deaf, especially in my shooting year, I guess, because I'm right-handed. Well, I shoot rifle right-handed. So I told Chloe, we went to one of my best friend's weddings, and then at their wedding, I kind of looked at Chloe. We had been engaged already, and I was like, why don't we just get married before the surgery so we can, you know, in case anything happens, you'll be, you know, $500,000 richer. And
That's a good move, man.
Yeah. So anyway, so we decided to have a quick backyard wedding. It really sucked because it wasn't the wedding we wanted. But, you know.
But just to save you here, didn't suck.
No, the
Now
wedding
you're
was
married
lovely.
to Chloe.
Yeah. You should. I would reapproach that.
Right. Yeah. No,
I'd fine
the wedding was wonderful.
that telling.
I was watching her carefully.
Yeah.
She didn't react.
No,
to that.
sorry, Chloe.
See,
But
I
also
had,
the best moment of my life.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah. It was
I had a
wonderful.
big wedding, and I tell people, I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's a waste of money.
You just forget about it. It happens so fast. You're like talking to, you know, like, oh, remember me?
Yeah.
I was your Sunday school teacher. You know? And then all of a sudden, like the night's over, and you're like, there was a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, it was a very affordable
Versus
wedding.
us, we had Chipotle catered
Yep.
for our wedding.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Listen, perfect wedding.
Yeah.
Perfect wedding.
It was great.
We had smoked eel.
That sounds interesting.
I'd take Chipotle.
So yeah, we got married, and then it's what sucked was like I really couldn't be as present as I wanted because I was,
Sure.
prepping for a very serious surgery. I was very drunk very fast.
To be fair, I wasn't very present either. I was like, I don't know what's happening. It was like we planned it in 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
You're like, all I know is I might be sitting on $500,000.
basically.
Lucky you. Yeah, so we, the surgery went well. There was a high risk of face paralysis, balance being really, really like no balance, or just having difficulty balancing and some cognitive concerns. I have all of the above to a degree without the paralysis. That's fine. But basically the nerve is really growing, the tumor is growing all wrapped up in my facial nerves, my balance nerve, my taste nerve. So there's a lot of risk. But basically the VA, and I will praise the VA all day for this, they basically were like, what hospital do you want to go to? And I'm like, well, who pays for this? And they're like, we do. I'm like, let's go to Boston. And so I went to some of the best doctors in the world for this, and they took really good care of me. So that happened October 3rd, and I was good to go in the woods shotgun hunting in December. So,
Wow.
Totally deaf in your right ear.
Totally deaf in my right ear. It's challenging. This past season, I had a doe sneak up on me when I was sitting in my saddle, and it was a really cool experience. It was my first rut hunt ever. I had my dad's bow, and so I was sitting in the saddle, and I heard something, but I couldn't. It's just really hard for me to triangulate sound. That's why when one of these guys talk, I'm
That's
like,
what I was going to ask
I was
about.
gonna say you don't
Yeah.
hear in
Yeah.
stereo.
Yeah, locating a gobbler could be brutal.
oh yeah, I imagine. I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, our buddy Clay, he's deaf, mostly deaf in one ear.
Okay.
He can't tell where they come from.
Yeah, I'd be like.
He said it kind of like ruined, in a lot of ways, it's ruined turkey hunting for him.
That's interesting. I
He's
haven't
got to have someone to.
help
He
him.
kind of needs someone to point. Like, well, he can hear it, but he says he always points. He points
Yeah.
like 180 degrees off every time.
Yeah. So this doe is walking behind me, and I'm also like, my eyes really messed up as well. So I didn't have my glasses on because I shoot bow lefty. So my my left eye is good. So I turned and I was like, I think that's a doe. So I had to like do another turn this way to look over my left shoulder, and I was like, all right, that's a doe. But she kept looking over her back, and I was like, oh, there's got to be a buck on her. And so I wrapped underneath my tether, grabbed my bow, and I just waited, and this big brute of a 10-pointer came running in. And right as she walked away, I sprayed some estrus in the air. That got him just really stuck in the area.
What? Really?
Yeah. Oh, man, he stopped ass over
So I
head.
got to push back. You keep knocking your mental faculties here, but like
Pretty sharp.
I wouldn't be thinking about any of that stuff.
I don't know, man. At this point, I'm not an amazing hunter. I've honestly only been hunting since 2020 on my own. So I'm doing a lot of this like trial and error stuff on my own. And I just,
Well, that won't ever stop. Just so you know.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, you never be like, got that all figured out.
Yeah. But I couldn't believe it.
No problems anymore.
Swear to God, man, ass overhead stops and just starts sniffing like crazy. And
So,
so,
hold on, so as you saw it, you put a little squirt out.
as the doe walked away.
Yeah, okay,
so the buck
yeah.
was about a minute, maybe 2 minutes behind her. And
You like that, huh?
Oh yeah, it was cool. So I draw back and I was off by 5 yards, dropped under his belly. He kicked up.
Oh, I'm off by 5 yards.
Yeah.
That's 15 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't range him. I was like too jittery. I really just wanted to make a shot. I thought he was at 25 yards. It was more like 35 yards. So maybe 10 yards.
Oh, your distance judge.
Yeah, he thought
Yeah.
you missed
Well, I
the
thought you meant
target
your
by 5
arrow
yards.
missed by 15
no,
feet.
it went right under his belly.
I was like, you might wanna check
or
your
right under
pins
his
We're
chest.
shooting way out there.
Yeah, no, it went right under
Oh,
his
you
chest.
misjudged this thing. Oh, that's too bad. Was it bigger than the crack buck?
I don't think so. No, the crack buck, at least body wise, was bigger.
Yeah.
But he was a nice 10-point I'd been watching, and So he jumps, snorts a couple times. I'm like, do I get another shot? I was like, but I need to range him this time to figure out like how far he was. And he was, after the shot, he pushed back about 50 yards, and I just wasn't comfortable shooting at 50, given how little experience I had with the bow at this point. So I let him go. But it was a really cool experience nonetheless.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So brain tumor. So the balance thing, basically, if you take away my vision, my balance is still pretty jacked up and pretty challenging because I don't have that inner ear, I guess, going for me anymore.
Vertigo?
Yeah, I get vertigo sometimes.
You think I could beat you in a fight because of your balance?
I don't know, man. I just
feel like
on a Grizzly.
I thought you kicked my ass. But now, I feel like you'd kick my ass.
I think my fighting days are over, but
now I know your balance is off. I might take a wild shot.
Let's try it. Let's go. No. Yeah. So I remember the first time walking in. I had my red light on, and I was walking with the shotgun, and I ate shit like 7 times.
Really?
Yeah, man. I was getting so frustrated.
That's got to be bad.
It sucked.
And you probably think you got to live like that the rest of your life too.
Yeah, I was, because like this is 2 months after surgery, so it's like this is it. This is what it's going to be like. I
just had surgery on your head.
Yeah. Yep.
And you're falling 15 times.
12-hour surgery.
I'm sure the docs in Boston are like, oh, that's fine.
Yeah. No, I didn't tell him. Yeah, so I fell a bunch, but I had the wherewithal to change the light color to green, and so it's a red, blue, and green, and then white light, obviously. So I changed it to green, and that was just a little bit better.
That's interesting.
So that was helpful. Just like I could see a little bit better, and the depth perception was better.
So do you got a corrective lens on your?
Yeah. So
what eye is that? Your right eye?
My right eye, yeah. Because I'm telling you, guys are like, dude, he's making all this up. So in 2021,
Chloe, what are you laughing about?
21 or 22.
You're laughing about the next detail?
It's just really funny, like just retelling our story.
So, and it's kind of bounces
another
back.
surgery.
Yeah. So prior to me leaving for Poland, I was shed hunting, and I had a stick puncture my eyeball. And
which one?
My right eye. So that's why I wear glasses now. My left lens is just a lens. There's no correction there. So I was like, the surgeon said it was 1/100th of an inch from losing my eye, or my vision in that eye.
A stick,
yeah. Went straight into my eyeball.
With like such velocity that it like ruptured it. It was like an open globe.
Yeah, it's called. I can show you pictures of that after. I had stitches in my cornea. It's brutal,
So
absolutely
gross.
brutal.
Like, was it a branch that just flipped?
Yeah, just literally like slingshotted right into my eye.
Oh, nightmare.
I was leaving for training for the Army, and I just was really excited to take my dog out for a shed hunt. So I left work early, got in the woods. I was a mile into the woods, and whack, hits me in the eyeball. And I usually wear it was so cloudy that I didn't have, I usually like wear some type of glasses, but all I had was sunglasses. So I actually took them off and put them on my hat. So if I had just kept them on, I probably would have been obviously fine. But
damn.
Yeah. So 4 years I've had. This will be this shoulder surgery from the bear attack on Friday will be the 4th surgery in 3 years, actually.
Okay, so
I'm sorry to bounce back and
no,
forth.
it's all helpful background.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Wyoming.
All right, cool. So,
because we want to get a picture of a totally debilitated man,
and I hope you come back next year after you get struck by lightning.
Right.
Now
it's making sense as to why the bear picked you.
So now we have a sensory deprived, sort of half there man in the mountains.
Falls down a lot.
Yeah.
We were actually like starting to feel like recovered enough from all that we're like, let's do it. Let's finally go on our honeymoon.
We've been planning.
This was the honeymoon trip?
This is the honeymoon.
This is the honeymoon.
Yeah.
The hits keep coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we rented a minivan, and
where did you rent the minivan?
Enterprise.
No, I mean like
in Massachusetts.
Oh, so you drove out?
They'll pick you up.
Yeah. No plug for Enterprise. No.
So you drove out. You rented a minivan to go on a road trip.
Yep.
Yes.
For a 3-week trip.
What did you guys do? Did you do Chrysler Town and Country?
It was a Chrysler.
It was a Chrysler.
That's my
Wager.
pick of the minivan fleet, for sure.
And a reasonable daily rate?
Yeah.
Pretty reasonable. And we
Unlimited mileage.
built a little like temporary bed platform in the back on Tupperware bins.
Nice.
Yeah, it was
It was we were
You're
paying
doing it
tribute
all
to our
right.
dirtbag
Dirtbag,
climber.
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
The
Darn
hashtag
right, man.
van
Love
life.
Hashtag van life.
Yes.
Rental. Hashtag van life / rental.
Yeah, so we basically were planning on to do some climbing, do some shed hunting, and exploring. And we were softly kind of looking to possibly move out to Wyoming. So in the next few years when she's done with school.
Oh yeah, because you
Yeah.
got like a transition coming up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had spent 3 days in the Badlands, which I love the Badlands.
Let me ask real quick: are you still a mechanic?
Technically, yeah. Yeah. So in the Army, yes. On the civilian side, I'm what's called electronics mechanic for the Army. So it's
So you still working there?
yeah. So I'm an Army reservist,
Yeah.
mil tech, which is a dual status position. So I'm contracted in to stay in the reserves as long as I hold this civilian job.
Understood.
So it's like I call it a backdoor draft. It kind of
Yep.
sucks, but it's pays the bills.
Got it.
So we spent 3 days in the Badlands, which I love the Badlands. I love how under traffic it is compared to the other
Yeah.
parks. And it's got just a lot of cool stuff. So I showed her that because that's somewhere I've been and I really enjoyed it. We had a great time there. We went hiking in the Bighorn National Forest. Got charged by a moose. That was fun.
I thought that was going to be our scariest animal
Yeah.
encounter.
Yeah. So I got
was
us all
wrong.
on
You
top
ain't seen
of
nothing yet.
Yeah.
A moose with a calf or just a regular
moose with a
Yeah,
calf.
yeah.
Yep.
She was pissed.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So I got us all on a boulder, her, my dog, and I, and we just watched her kind of just strut around being angry.
Yeah.
I was a little worried. I was like, we could be up here for hours. I don't
They
know
don't
how long.
like dogs. They
Yeah.
hate dogs.
Yeah, I know that. Yep.
Yeah, I was actually the one that spooked them, and I'm terrified of moose. Anytime we run into them in Massachusetts shed hunting, Shayne makes fun of me because I'm always like shaking. Like there's one time I pointed one out
She
nearby.
was shaking like the
was
girl from Jurassic Park.
Moose.
And I'm like, it was only like 10 feet away. So for, context, and I just like looked at it and I was like, this was right after my eye injury. So I had literally had an eye patch on and I only had one eye and I was just looking at the ground, making sure I didn't fall.
And it was
You had an eye
boring that
patch
day.
on. Oh, this is shed hunting.
Yeah, this is
not
this is a
This
couple
was in
years ago.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's like pointing at this moose and I'm like, all right, it would already charge us if it didn't want us here. And it just kept eating its food, looking at us. And then it just did a 180 and walked away.
Got it.
So
Yeah, so during this most recent encounter, I was the one that
jumped them.
saw the calf first, and it like took off, and I was like, "Whew, all right, like now that's a safe distance away. Like I'm gonna take a picture." And I was looking at the picture, I was like, it looks kind of small, and then I see Mom like walking around these boulders, just like grilling me, and I'm like, oh no. So I radioed for Shayne, and because I didn't know what to do. I don't have the knowledge that Shayne has, so I just radioed to him and was like, I have a very angry mama moose that's not backing down, and I'm like just trying to back up the hill and give her space, and she was just coming after me. So
And at this point, if something bad happens, it's going to happen to him. So, like, get him over there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
No
right?
free ads,
Yeah.
Enterprise.
So yeah, I got us all on a boulder, and she stayed for like lingered around for like 15 minutes, and then I could see her calf down in the tree line, so she went to the calf, and we got out of there pretty quick after that. Didn't
Nice.
want to stick around.
And that was in Wyoming.
Yes,
So-
yep, that was in the
Yeah.
The
Bighorn. Yep. So then we stayed in Cody for a night. Then we got to Yellowstone and we camped out there for 3 days, and that was awesome. We just drove around, photographed animals. It's just like a hobby of mine. I just like taking pictures of animals as much as, anything else I do, I guess. Sold some photographs, but haven't made up for the equipment I've paid for. So Yellowstone is cool. I've never been there before. It was nice to get there before the crazy tourists. And then we were heading south to Moab, and we were just going to drive through the Tetons for a few hours, just check that out. We had done some research about the great gray owls, and Signal Mountain is kind of a hot spot. So that's when we
or at least Reddit told me so.
Yeah, Reddit.
But that's a good place to see a great gray owl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we parked, we walked up Signal Mountain Road, and So it was the three of us, two of us with the dog. We walked up there together for about half a mile, maybe
And
3/4.
Signal Mountain Road is like, it's not a remote
Not at all.
backcountry.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And it was close to cars, but there were so many cyclists and pedestrians and stuff.
Yeah, there's dozens of people up there that day.
Yeah.
So as we're walking up, there was actually like a safari, like a, I don't know what the hell it's called.
Backcountry,
Yeah, backcountry safari
tour
guy.
group.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we bumped into them and they're like, oh yeah, we went on and off the trail. Didn't see any sign of owls, but they're out there somewhere. And they're like, didn't see any bear sign either. I'm like, and they asked me like, do you have bear spray? I was like, yeah, it's right here. Right on my FHF bino
There you
harness.
go. Good
Hell
job.
yeah.
Yeah.
you had it in the spray holster underneath the
So I didn't
bottle.
have the holster. I ended up buying, because I've never thought about bear spray until coming out west.
Got
Out
it.
east, the black bear, I know that they can be dangerous still, but every black
so's
bear I
bear-
ever see,
so's
they're
bear
running.
spray.
Yeah. Yeah, they're running away from me. So anyway, so I just bought like some cheap elastics to hold it in place. I did stop at the MeatEater store yesterday and buy the holster though.
Oh, I was going to say, we could get you a holster.
Yeah.
Did you tell them what you were here for?
No, I didn't. No. I don't know. I didn't.
I like to think they would have given it to you.
Oh.
But
You always
I don't
got
know.
it. You walk in there and do you know who I am? Do you have any idea who I am?
We've gotten looks. I think some people do know, because we've definitely had some people looking at us a couple times. So anyway, yeah.
Going
so,
on Good Morning America will do that.
Yeah. So eventually Chloe decided, she's like, hey, like, I only have the bear spray. I'm going to go back to the car. I was like, cool. I'm just going to give myself an hour up here.
Yeah.
I'll bounce on and off the road.
And I knew too, like, I had Cadence with me, our dog, and I wasn't going to be able to go everywhere that he wanted to go. And, like, you're not supposed to take dogs off more than 100 feet off the road in national parks. So I wanted to be respectful of that too. So, yeah, I just turned around and was going to iron out some things with our itinerary and whatnot. And, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
continue.
no, you're endearing yourself to this crowd for following the rules in a national park,
Well,
especially
right.
with off-leash dogs.
Yeah, because
definitely.
it's supposed to protect dogs from wildlife and wildlife from dogs.
Yeah.
And, we can't
Yeah.
help but wonder how things might have.
You actually like read the signs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
All the printed materials out there.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's what saved my life.
Yeah.
Partly.
Yeah. And probably why our dog's still alive. I mean, we
Yeah.
don't know what would have happened if she had been there.
Yeah. So I had been walking all over the place up there. I have a pretty good sense of direction, naturally. I had a compass with me. My phone's GPS was not working very great. Zero service for the most part. So after an hour goes by, I look at my watch. I had set a timer for an hour and 15. That my alarm went off. I was like, oh shit. I told her I'd be back in an hour. She's probably getting a little worried. So I looked at the GPS and basically it was just both Onyx and Google Maps was just pixelated, like you parked here and here's your
because you hadn't
location.
downloaded the map ahead of time.
Yeah, because we didn't discuss going to this location until the drive there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at that point I had no service to download anything.
This was like let's pull over and stretch our legs for a
Yeah.
second. I heard there might be owls here.
Right. So
Nice.
but it still pointed me in the right direction back to the parking lot.
How far are you from the parking lot?
When the attack happened?
Yeah.
half-
No, at this point.
At this point, it's hard to say.
Well, so up the road we had gone 3/4 of a mile, and then
Yeah, but I wandered all up
Zero.
on top of Signal Mountain. So the furthest probably was maybe a couple miles.
How
Okay.
far from the road were you?
Maybe from Signal Mountain Road, probably just a mile.
Okay.
Yeah, at any given time, it was never more than a mile. So I start beelining back to the parking lot.
Like you bushwhacking down.
Right.
Yep.
Yep, and
Just a straight line.
yep, and so just basically walking mostly east and a little southeast, and I'm in the woods all the time, so I move really fast and efficiently. And I think that was part of my problem. Was it was really windy out. I think if I remember correctly, wind was up to 40 miles per hour that day.
Hmm.
So as I'm going through the woods,
And what's the topography like? Are you on a steep? Is it steep?
I wouldn't say steep. No, it was it was a big hill, but not overly steep. I have it all plotted on Onyx. I can
Just
show you
got
after.
mature timber on it.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Lots of down trees. So I'm at this point, I'm at the bottom of Signal Mountain, kind of, and I'm like in this weird valley, and then there's this like hill protruding out. And once I get around that hill, I see the cub running.
And you're how far from the car at this point?
I want to say 50 to 70 yards.
Oh, wow.
You're back at the car.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you said the cub, not the car.
Oh, no. How far from the car?
Half a mile. Like
Okay.
actually 0.6.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
Got it.
Yeah.
You're just hauling ass.
Hauling ass, making noise, and I was talking out loud.
But tons of ambient noise, right?
As
Like
much
the
as I
high
could-
wind.
yeah,
that-
yeah, right.
It's like
So the bear didn't hear me.
You were talking
Right,
out loud.
yeah.
What were you saying?
I basically was just I was actually more or less in the army, like when we march, we sing cadences.
My
and
pants are baggy. My belt's too tight.
yeah, so it's kind of like it's just something that's always just like grained in my just cinched in my mind. So I'm just I know these
Just
ways.
give me a sample cadence. I don't need the one you're doing. I just want a sample cadence.
So
Are they all naughty?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, like not like the old I can't say that one, never mind. No, just like there's some like airborne ones, so you just be like, I hear the choppers hovering, they're hovering overhead. They come to get the wounded, they've come to get the dead.
Got you. Yeah.
So
That sounds more like a shanty.
yeah, kind of. So anyway, I just kind of just doing that and just talking out loud.
Thinking about bears.
Absolutely. I was bears were a big concern for me. Like not that I was overly afraid of them. I just was like, I know we're gonna see them.
You're not paranoid. You're bear aware.
Right. Yeah. Totally. I was just thinking about them, and I knew they existed out there, and it was their home. And so I see this cub running about 50 yards ahead of me, and I was like, "Fuck."
Running the other way.
Yeah, running away. And I was like, I know mom's got to be nearby.
Uh-huh.
And so the first thing I did was I took my bear spray out. And a lot of people are like, oh, I bet you wish you had a 10 millimeter this, blah, blah, blah. Sure. I always feel a little better when I have a gun on me. However, in this situation, it just wouldn't have worked.
Okay.
By the time when I saw the cub, to having the bear spray out, pulling the safety off, within 3 seconds, mom was on me.
All right, let's back up.
Sure.
Not back up. I want to talk about this 3 seconds real careful.
Mm-hmm.
You register a cub running 50 yards away. You know it's a grizzly?
Oh yeah.
Just something about it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And you without hearing or seeing anything of the sow, you know you just spooked a cub and you pull your bear spray out.
Absolutely.
And you throw the safety on the spray.
I was trying to, yeah.
Okay, so this is all like super fast.
Right.
And then what's the very next thing you register?
Mom's eyes.
At what distance?
Couple feet.
A couple feet.
Like coming straight at you or from the side? Or?
Just diagonally to my left. So just barely like in my periphery.
10 o'clock.
A couple
I'd say
feet.
10 o'clock. A few feet, yep. And as soon as I saw her.
So your attention on that cub.
Right. Yeah, so I was looking at the cub.
You could have potentially been looking over the top of mom's back.
Yeah, she probably
watching
knew
the
you
cub.
were there
Right,
before you
really?
even saw
100%,
the cub.
100%. And so I think she was already charging me. I just didn't.
Yep.
Like I said, it was windy.
Like if
so
that
windy.
cub hadn't have been there, you probably would have picked up something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'd have picked up movement.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I was just so
But it
focused
gave
on
you
the
something
cub.
to focus on.
Right. So I think part of the issue was they were actually walking towards me and I was walking towards them at one point. And I can reiterate on that after post attack. So I remember her amber eyes, like they're in my head for the rest of my life. And I know you were talking about your bear encounter and how it really affected you for a long time.
Yeah.
I close my eyes and I see her eyes. And I just kind of, as she jumped up, I just said, no bear, no bear. And I just knew I didn't have time to spray. I guess.
So when she jumped up, what did it seem like she was coming at? Just like generally you, or
yeah,
just okay,
yeah, just she was just gonna hit whatever part of me she could hit
with her paws.
Yeah,
I'm
not even sure. I mean her muzzle was right there and everything. So
Why was it mouth open?
Yeah.
So she's just coming at you. She's got.
Yeah. And so I just like reading the kiosk.
And when you think about it, you're standing. Okay. How when she's on the ground on all fours, where is her back on you?
It's hard to say. I was so fixated on her face.
Yeah.
I can't put a size on that, but I know when she got on her hind legs, she was taller than me.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
So you kind of went from like looking at or even down, maybe?
down, definitely down on her.
Down?
Yep. And when she jumped, she got kind of like, it was like more of a pounce, but she was definitely taller than me. And I reverted back to the signs outside the trails. It's like, if you are getting attacked by a bear, get down, lay down on your belly, and cover your neck with your hands, and keeping your arteries clear, protected, and just wait it out and try to play dead. I'll tell you what, that first bite on the shoulder, which ended up, I didn't know at the time, but she broke my shoulder, and I have a complete, what's it called?
Oh, sorry. You have a displaced fracture of your acromion.
Yeah.
That was from a bite.
I couldn't tell you.
A bite or a blow.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. But that's where she tackled me simultaneously as I started to like turn and get down. That's when she jumped on my back. She bit my shoulder. She bit down through my canine went down through my trap, and then her lower mandible canine went up into my lat. And so I have like pretty good gash on my lat. The puncture in my trap was just crazy, as like really, really deep.
That would have been her canine fang, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So she took me to the ground, and she kind of like trotted in front of me, turned around. I screamed from the first bite.
Hold on, she did what now?
Like when she tackled me, she kept running. After she hit me, she kept running in front of me.
Yeah.
And then she just did a 180 and stepped on my back. And I've never felt more powerless in my entire life.
It was almost like world wrestling, like a little victory lap after knocking you down, and came back to stand on top.
Got him.
And then when she blew through you and did that bite, did it linger, or was it just like a pass through?
Like she didn't grab you
Or shake.
or shake.
I don't think she did. I don't know. I think there would have been more damage if she shook, but also she did break my shoulder, so maybe. So when she stepped on my back, she just like bit one of my legs, and I was like, I just basically started just putting my face in the dirt and shaking my face in the dirt, trying to like muffle as much of my groaning and screaming as I could. So she bit me a few times. I couldn't tell you which leg at what point. I do believe the last bite in my leg was my right one, and that was the worst one because she had actually picked me up from my legs, and I just basically was planking in her mouth. I was trying to stay as stiff as possible so she would have a harder time rolling me over and getting to my vitals.
God, thinking on his feet again.
Yeah,
Planking
amazing, yeah.
While you're in the jaws of a grizzly. Steve's a big planker, but I don't know. You'd be thinking about that in that moment.
It was, I remember just telling myself, just shut up, stay as stiff as possible. But I think like at this point, the last bite, I swear it hurt so bad that I let out like another loud scream.
Were you like stretched out or curled up?
Stretched out, laying down, what we in the military would call prone, like laying, you're taking a
laying down shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Chloe's back at the car being like, every time,
selfies.
an hour,
Oh, yeah.
an hour turns into 2.
He said he'd be back in an hour, and he set his alarm for an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, all too often. That is so true. She's a saint.
Do I tell them about the text message?
I mean, you can.
Has he sent it yet or not sent?
No. This
Too
is
much,
her.
maybe too much
We'll get to that
self-disclosure.
after. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay,
But,
fine.
so anyway, I'm pretty sure like one of her canines had like tickled my femur, and that's why I just got so
that pain.
Yeah. And so she dropped me, and it was just like
Did she have you off the ground a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, she just lifted me up.
By the leg.
By the leg. My face was still on the ground though.
Yeah.
And when I screamed from
How much do you think you weigh?
Do I weigh?
Yeah.
180.
Okay.
Yeah. And she was probably 380, 400.
See, now I think he would kick my ass. Even with all
the disabilities.
He's just going to keep thinking the whole way through. That's it. Yeah.
So yeah, she dropped me, and it was just like, I don't know how to describe it, but it was just like I don't know. just nonchalantly just dropped me and then just stepped on my back again.
Like she's casual.
Right. Just like, this motherfucker's dead. Like I'm going to get
Not
him.
a threat anymore.
Yeah. Well, she's like, I'm going to put you down now.
Does she vocalize at all?
Yeah, but it's hard to describe. It was just like, I mean, you've heard him like that, like pant that they have, like
Wolf.
yeah, wolf. Like it was that.
So no crazy like
No,
barking and woofing.
Not at all. Just like I can't describe it, but it's like that normal, like if you hear if you watch a documentary, two grizzlies fighting, it was kind of like that.
Yep.
So that, like, I screamed pretty loud from that. She drops me.
And she doesn't seem to be, after this, she doesn't seem to be like, it's a hard question to ask, but like, does she seem like jacked up and pumped up?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Just
she okay.
riled up. Yeah.
And then like stiff legged and.
Yeah, it was so violent.
Okay.
Like she wanted me dead. But it's crazy because like the more I look at my wound, like my scars now, I'm like, this could have been so much worse. Like the fact
it
that
could have bit you on the head and killed you
100%,
instantaneously.
100%. And the fact that like she didn't just completely rip like grapefruit size chunks out of my thigh. Like I don't understand why and how she bit me.
And
We
like,
had a shed hunter get killed not far from here a couple springs ago.
I read about that.
And then I talked to someone who'd done an investigation on that, and they felt that it was instant. Like I don't know what the injury was, but they felt it was instant. So yeah, I mean that one bite,
right?
That one bite in the right spot just
100%. Yeah, I'm so damn lucky she didn't get in any of my leg arteries or anything like that.
So now she's standing on top of you again.
Yep. And so I had screamed.
like placing her front feet on you.
Yeah, at least one.
Like like pinning you down kind of thing.
Yep. And
waving to the crowd like this with the other one. Yeah.
So that's when she went to bite. I suspect would have been my neck and my head. She got my right hand here.
Let me see your back. I see your back.
Yeah, we can show you after. And then she got that behind my watch. So
that's from teeth.
Yes,
those are bite marks.
Yeah, those are bite marks.
Do you have claw marks all over you?
Just a little.
Okay,
but those have healed. Like they're scarred, but they're not as deep as you would expect 4-inch claws to cut you.
Yeah.
So she went for the head, and thankfully I still had the bear spray in my hand.
So you're holding the spray the whole time?
Yep. Unbeknownst to me, honestly, I didn't even know I still had it. So when she bit down, at this point I wasn't feeling. I didn't even.
So
feel
the bear spray's in your hand, and you're still trying to protect your back.
Right. Yep. So just trying to protect the back of my neck and my neck and my head.
Is your finger through the ring?
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. And so she bit down. Like I said, she got my wrist and my hand, and then she got a mouthful of the can. So when
let me pause you one second.
Sure.
We had a girl on one time that got mauled.
Mm-hmm.
She got tore up pretty good, but she was in the same situation where she's down and it's biting here on her back, and she's holding it and just sprays it in the face while it's biting her.
And that's what saved her.
Yeah, just happened, like had the spray on her chest and just was able to do like a blind shot over her shoulder.
That's incredible.
And got it and it dropped her.
Good.
Oh.
Did it ever go through your mind to try to discharge the spray?
I didn't even know I was still holding it.
Okay.
So it wasn't an instinctual thing at that point.
Oh yeah, all this has happened within like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
How many seconds do you think at this point?
I think the whole attack was probably 60 to 120 seconds.
ooh.
So maybe
that's a
2
long
minutes
time.
tops. Yeah.
So once she hit, you were like, I mean, you said it a bunch of times real clear, but just reiterating, like you're holding it and gripping the spray, but you forgot about that you're going to shoot this thing with the bear spray.
I think I just had the ring only. And so it was kind of like sticking up diagonally up with the bottom obviously facing up. So when she bit down and I heard the pop, I was like, that's your skull, dude. I'm like, she's got you. And then I felt a warm sensation go down my back.
When you say heard the pop, what do you mean?
So the can popped because it's pressurized. So when she bit down on the canister.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got it.
So,
but did you know that it was the can?
It took a second.
I would have originally thought it was part of you.
That's what I thought. I thought it was probably my skull.
I was in a a vehicle rollover one time coming back from hunting, and I just got a coffee at a gas station, and we ended up hanging upside down in seat belts, and I'm like, and I was like, oh, it's all my blood running out of my head, and I remember touching the back of my hair and looking at my hand, and there was no blood there. It was that cup of coffee. There's nothing wrong with me. Like nothing wrong with me whatsoever. But for this 1 second, I'm like, oh no, my life's blood.
Yeah. So
bam, you hear a pop.
Yep. And my initial thought was like, oh shit, she just popped you in the head. Like your skull's popped open, and I felt warmth going down my back and my face.
You thought it was the blood?
I thought it was blood. And then I heard her panting and running away, and I was like, wait, what? And so I got up like in the
What noise was she making?
Just the same like.
Okay, so not a different pain noise.
Nope. She just like, I mean, I don't want to describe it as sneezing, but like it was just like she was very uncomfortable and couldn't breathe properly. I guess I don't know. And I heard her thumping, running away, and then so I was like, "You're alive." And I got up in the push-up position. I saw her running up the hill that her cub ran up. And
she went in the direction of her cub.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure. It was very disorienting regardless, but so after she ran away, I got up and I ran the opposite direction.
You were still able to run?
Yeah, I ran, I want to say almost half a mile.
Now, how are you not full of spray?
I am. I'll show you the picture after.
But I mean, are you blinded?
Nope. It didn't affect my eyes whatsoever. I don't know how or why.
Because they pulled that part of your brain out, probably.
Yeah, right.
They also nicked
brain surgery.
They also nicked the thing that makes your eyes.
This is where all the backstory combines to make your superpower.
Right. Yeah. Here we go.
While I was in there, I did you a favor.
So
nothing will ever hurt your eyes ever again.
Well, was it in your nose and mouth?
Yep. Yeah, I'll show you a good picture after. My hands.
When that can went, did it dribble or did it poof?
Poof.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And so when I got up and started running,
her teeth went through the can.
Yep.
Who's got the can now?
National Park.
Are you getting it back?
No.
Why not?
They gave me the holster back because UDAP. Thank you, UDAP, for saving my life. UDAP comes with a holster, like a plastic holster.
You need the can.
I don't need it.
I've got
the scars.
No, can we get it for our auction house of oddities?
I mean, do you want to contact? I have the
It's your
biologist
can.
number.
Why would they be able to have your can?
I don't know.
Did they request to keep it?
They did not, but it never crossed my mind.
You got a can with a bear's teeth holes in it.
Mm-hmm.
And not just like a random one you found.
Right. No, they
the one that saved your life.
Yeah. They
yeah, I got a lot of stuff with bear teeth holes in it because they always bite our poly pipe at our cabin.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, no one cares about that. But you gotta get that can. Because we can put it in the auction house of oddities.
Yeah. I mean, I'll
or whatever you can sell,
or he could keep it.
No, I don't need it. If it can go to auction house oddities and someone's interested.
What about your old staples? Can we have those?
A good bit.
Those are all.
What else you
the
got?
VA got them.
Oh,
they took your can.
Yeah. So they took all my clothes.
Why did they take your can?
I don't know.
Let's hear how he gets off the damn mountain.
I've been holding my breath here for 2.5 to 3 minutes.
So she runs.
She runs. I run the opposite direction.
You've been pepper sprayed.
Yep.
I mean, is there any, with all the pain from the biting, are you registering like an intense stinging?
No.
What are you registering? Are you like,
get the fuck out of here?
Are you thinking I'm so injured I'm gonna die? I can't believe how uninjured I am.
I looked at my hand and I was like, if my hand looks like that, then I don't want to know what the rest of me looks like.
But you're probably just going on adrenaline, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Still on adrenaline,
100%.
yeah.
So,
and you knew what way to run?
Yeah. That was the opposite direction of the bear is the best way.
So you didn't go toward the truck.
No.
The van.
No.
You just were getting out of there.
I was just getting to a safe location. Because I knew I was bleeding pretty bad. The back of my pants were completely red. I didn't get any good pictures. I'll show you the video, which I took just in case I did die. I'm happy to share that offline, but that's something that I think is a little too intimate to share with the public. You get a little glimpse of my butt, and not physically, but like the amount of blood on my backside. When I started running, there was this big pile of there's some leftover snow from the winter, And as I'm running through that, I see the grizzly tracks in there. So that is what fuels my hypothesis that they were walking towards me at the time.
Got it.
So I run up to started running up the top of this hill. I have it all saved on X, so we can I don't remember how much elevation I gained, but it was almost half a mile, I believe.
Looking back on it now, I know you're going away from the bear.
Mm-hmm.
Are you also going away from the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
you're
I ended up almost a full mile from the parking lot.
So you put that, and then as you're running, at what point did you feel like you got back to your normal self, or is it not hitting yet? Like your normal, rational, logical self.
So that happened maybe after being on the phone with Chloe for 5 seconds.
Okay.
So once I started running up the hill, I just remember I still had I didn't have a lot of gear with me. I just had an extra lens, my camera, a fanny pack, and then my bino harness.
Mm-hmm.
My camera weighs about 7 or 8 pounds. That thing was just dangling between my legs, hitting me, bouncing off everything. I had to climb over a bunch of down trees, basically hurtling over the trees. And I had checked my phone and realized that all of a sudden I have 3G. And I was like, wait, I haven't had service in 3 days since being out here, basically. I'm going to call my wife and tell her I love her. And that, I called her to tell her what happened and that I love you because I don't know what's going to happen.
What'd you say?
So I text her. Well, I called her. It didn't go through for some reason. Then I text her just one word, attacked. And then she called me right back as soon as I sent that text. And so I picked up.
Attacked.
Yep.
The text didn't go through.
The text also never
I
went
just
through
saw
for some
his
reason.
initial phone call and was like, "That's weird that he's calling me," and I called him back.
So I tell her, I'm like, hey, Chloe, it happened. I was like, I got attacked by a grizzly, and she didn't even. This is the EMT in her, but didn't even register any empathy or any form of the only thing she cared about was preserving my life. And being in the military, I've taken half a dozen what we call combat life-saving classes in my career. And it's always, no matter what, the number one thing is stop the bleed. That's the most important thing. Well, obviously making your situation safe first, but secondary is stop the bleed. If you're conscious, you always work on yourself. So she reminded me, she's like, "Where's your first aid kit?" And I was like, "It's in the fucking van." And I'm screaming at her, and she's like, "All right, just stay calm. Tourniquets, you need to improvise. What do you have on you?" I was like, "I have my backpack, my fanny pack, and camera straps." And she's like, "Okay." She's like, "Start improvising." And I'm like, "I need to be safe first. I need to get somewhere where I can be safe." And so I ran up to the summit of this little hill, and then I started assessing, all right, where am I bleeding from? And that's when I looked at my hand. I noticed underneath my watch strap, she bit through my watch strap, and I lifted my arm up, and I could see daylight through my strap. So I was like, well, that's fucked. I'm just gonna leave that there. And then I just looked behind me. I saw that I was bleeding, obviously on my backside. I put my hand there, and it just felt like a steady drizzle of blood, and it was extremely warm. I noticed that the coloration wasn't. It was just a deep red. So I was like, okay, that's not arterial. So I think I have more time than I thought. So I just laid down, started taking some stuff off, and then I started applying the tourniquets. I put 2 on my left leg, 1 high, and then 1 lower.
So you're in triage mode. You're trying to figure out what the priority is.
Right. I felt generally safe, but always was concerned of a secondary attack. That's what happened to Todd Orr. So that was always playing in the back of my mind. I apply the second.
But again, doesn't matter if you bleed out.
Right.
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 So.
Then I apply the one on my right leg. And at that point, I'm talking, I think Chloe called me back. She's with the ranger at this point. They're asking me where I am, trying to send them my grid coordinates. Nothing was accurate for some reason. I sent them coordinates from Google. That sent them I don't know how many yards off. I have my rescue whistle with me. I'm blowing into that.
But 40-mile-an-hour wind still, right?
Right.
So
Yeah. So eventually 911, like she was, I don't know, she was at the ranger. The ranger's like, he needs to call 911 and get on the phone with the operator so they can communicate with the helicopter.
Yeah, because at that point, they had the helicopter in the air looking for you, and they wanted to try like pinging his phone off the tower to see, you know.
How much time has gone by at this point?
I couldn't tell you at this point, but total from when I called her to when I was airlifted was a little less than 2 hours.
Okay.
Which is very fast, all things considered. The problem was, like, in my own head, I was like, okay, well, I got attacked. I was relatively close to the road. I thought I was like 300 yards off the road. Turns out when I ran away in the opposite direction, I was like 900 yards off the road. So they were through these through these errors through the systems, like my GPS and all that stuff. They were having trouble finding me. When I was on the phone with the operator, basically, he's like, all right, can you see the helicopter? I was like, yes, I can see the helicopter. I was like, tell them to stop and go to their 3 o'clock and fly straight, and they're going to fly right over me. And that's what they did. They flew right over me, couldn't see me still, but I was obviously on the phone. And I was like, all right, they literally just flew over me. Tell them to stop again. And they did it again. I told them,
and they're flying low.
Yeah, like 50 feet over, maybe 60 feet over the trees.
And it's like,
and they flew right over you and didn't see you.
Yeah.
That's what I was are you still in like pretty timbered stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So they flew over to like a clearing, and I told them to stop, and I started waving to them. And that's when
you're probably wearing earth tones.
I am, unfortunately. If I was wearing my normal pack, I have a orange like signal sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my IFAC first aid kit that had trauma stuff in it. Like we said.
Yeah. I swear, everybody, I'm prepared.
Yeah.
Just
normally.
Normally I am.
Normally
So-
our friends make
gives me
fun
one
of us
more
for
chance.
how much stuff we bring with us. But.
So at this point, though, right? Like, you're on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of opportunity for panic.
Yeah.
Like somebody doesn't see you right away.
Mm-hmm.
You've built that up as like, okay, there I'm getting saved. Or just talking with Chloe and stuff. And like, you have to have some moments of this isn't going to work out.
Oh yeah. I mean, when I saw the helicopter, that was my first real relief. But yeah, like I would say at the beginning, I think I had the tourniquets on already, or maybe I didn't have the tourniquets on, but I made that video because I was like, I'm bleeding out. Like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I just want my family to know, like, I love them, you know?
Yeah. And so what is your confidence in your self-care so far? Like at this point on the hill, are you like, I've done everything I can do?
Yeah.
Or...
There was a point where I was like, okay, I realized the blood flow is slowing in every spot but my back. I had moved once post tourniquet application. And there was a lot so I moved once, sat down in a different spot. And then after a few minutes, I had moved again and I noticed there's a lot less blood under me. So that was good. So basically at that point I had a...
And are you thinking about shock though too?
Yeah, that was literally where my brain was kind of going in that. So shock and hypothermia was a real concern. Basically the operator was like, do you have anything to wear? And I was like, well, I took my hoodie off to absorb some blood. I can put it back on. He's like, put it back on. I'm like, okay. She told me to elevate my feet so that I wouldn't pass out. Cause I was never like, I don't want to say I was ever close to fainting or passing out, but there are points in time where things did get a little hazy. Yeah. And I guess at a certain point, you know, being up there for hour and a half-ish, I was feeling like, okay, like this is taking, to me, it's a really long time. Like in retrospect, it's not, but to me up there, it felt like a lifetime. And I'm just like,
Chloe, what are you feeling like? Because you can't talk to him now. He's on the phone with 911.
Yeah. I don't know. It was such a surreal experience. Like I the first phone call that I made to family was to his cousin, and she was like, "How are you feeling?" And I was like, "Honestly, my feelings went offline as soon as my husband said, like, I've been attacked by a bear." Like, it just, I don't know. I feel like because of my work as an EMT, I'm pretty good at compartmentalizing. So
but were you like looking for him like with a ranger?
So that was the worst part.
Yeah.
So initially, after I called 911, I had grabbed my bag and my first aid kit, and I was and my bear spray, and I was kind of like pacing in the lot, and I was waiting for the first ranger to show up. And I didn't know what kind of response we were going to get. So the first ranger shows up, and I'm trying my best to give him an idea of where Shayne might be based on like, oh, well, this is where I saw him last, but who's to say where he is now? But he did send me these coordinates, and it was funny because the ranger, doing his job, doing a great job, was just like, great. And he just hopped back in his truck and drove off. And I'm just standing there in the parking lot like, what? And so I yell after him. I'm like,
to go where?
To drive up Signal Mountain Road to look for Shayne. And so I yell after him, I'm an EMT. I can help. And he goes, cool, I'm a paramedic. And I'm like,
so you got compartmentalized into the not helpful
Pulled rank
category,
on you.
which just sucks. Oh.
Yeah, which, like, I don't know. I was talking to some friends after it, and they're like, hey, when we've been involved with SAR stuff, people have just said that they have certain credentials and they don't, and they end up getting in the way. And like my whole thing, with training as an EMT, you will fail your practicals as an EMT if you forget to ask, like, oh, is the scene safe? And so while 100% I wanted to run into the woods and find him, I knew, like, well, if I run into the bear first, I might be drawing away resources that he needs way more than I do. Or
you could
I could go get myself killed.
Break your leg running around the
right.
woods.
Yeah. So it was really hard being in the parking lot just waiting and feeling like I had this skill set that could be potentially useful.
Oh.
Yep.
And just doing nothing with it,
But
just sitting there.
There's nothing worse than being like, listen, I'm somebody with skills and I can be helpful. And then if you do something stupid, then you're like, but I'm still really good, you guys. I just did this one stupid thing by which I'll be judged forever.
Right? Oh, man. I just feel like it's like put this whole spin on like the survivor's guilt that I feel for like, we were on the same walk. I turned around. I went back to the car. And then I'm like, oh, well, I could have maybe done something. And just sitting there.
Okay. So the helo.
Yeah. So at that, while I'm up there on that hill alone, like a lot of things are going through my head. Like, is the bear going to come back? Should I climb a tree? Like, what's my best scenario? I just basically, the only defense I had was my knife. So I had that out, and I was just like, at this point, like if she comes back, I'm probably dead. So I might as well fight. So the wound, like the pain started to creep in at this point. My shoulder was rocked, and so when the helo shows up, I felt the first like real relief. I'm looking at the helicopter. I'm like, okay, cool. So I actually started to crawl towards it, and I got maybe 5 or 8 feet away from where I was sitting, and then I heard Shayne Burke, and I was like, and I see a ranger, the 12 gauge, and I was like, oh, thank God.
He come in on foot?
Yeah. I had about, I would say about, by the time the helicopter's ready to take me out, there's at least 8 or 12 rangers with shotguns that set up a perimeter.
How far had you come from the attack site?
I want to say half a mile-ish. Like I said, we can look at Onyx.
Yeah.
The Rangers would have a better idea because they did a full investigation from where they picked me up down to where and there was a huge, massive blood trail that they followed. So the first Ranger shows up and he's like, "You're Shayne Burke?" And I was like, "Yep." They got
never heard of him.
Yeah, looking for a different guy. Sorry.
He's 50 feet that now. Yeah, so and they have to ask that, and you know, he starts, he's like, "All right, I'm so and so here to help," and then a female officer shows up. She was rad. I don't remember her name. And they just started cutting my stuff off, and as I mentioned in my post was, my ultimately I believe in conservation. I believe that I was in the, it was just the wrong place, wrong time. That bear didn't do anything that it like wasn't natural to it. So I was like, hey, like, you're not going to kill that bear, are you? And he's like, well, we're gonna have to look into it. And I was like, well, I hope you don't. And he's like, well, it's really admirable.
You were like, this one's on me.
Yeah. So yeah, they just start, assessing me. They do their own blood sweeps. At this point, they're, doing their thing to get an IV started. And they're all down in my area. And
are they doing anything to try to get the DNA off the bear?
Yeah, they did. Okay. So they know if there's a record of the bear, they know what bear it was.
And what were they swabbing to try to get a DNA
Just my
sample?
clothing and the bites.
They're swabbing it in some way and put it in like a tube?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so they completely took all my stuff off that hill.
Oh, I got you.
I didn't have my phone for 2 days after the attack.
So they'd have all kinds of ways to find a sample off it.
Yeah.
We got like everything back in an evidence box,
Yeah.
and I opened it up in the motel room, like not
Bear
thinking
spray everywhere.
about the bear spray.
Oh god, yeah, it sucked.
You're shitting me.
we're just like coughing and hacking.
They didn't put a
They
little
gave you
warning
everything
sticker
back
on
except
there?
your can.
Oh, they
Yeah.
told us. I forgot.
I did ask him about the can, and like, oh yeah, we have it. And it never occurred to me if I
Why in
should
the world
take
are
it.
they holding that can?
I don't know. Maybe there's DNA on it. I don't know. I'll
It's probably it could be in a visitor's center in a display.
I'll text the biologist and see if I can pay for it to ship to you guys or something. But so at this point, like, I'm sitting there like, and I'm, in their words, they said I was a really good patient. I was, obviously I was in a lot of pain at this point.
Is the helicopter landed or just hovering?
It left and landed and for a minute.
For how far away?
I have no idea. I imagine
At
where
the
she
gravel pit parking lot down the road where they were. The
So there was
ambulance
no good
staging.
place right there to land?
No.
Okay, I got
Yeah,
it.
they actually
dropped
was it
two.
short hauled him out.
Yeah, they dropped 2 search and rescue people from the Jenny Lake Rangers down. Actually, one might have walked in. I'm not sure, but anyway, so they're working on me. They're just stuffing me with gauze, and it was like every second they're like, "Oh, here's another hole. Here's another hole. Let's stuff it with 5 feet of gauze." It was sucked.
Was that painful?
Very painful.
And they just got you stripped down.
Oh yeah, butt naked. They're putting like the emergency blankets on me and stuff like that. They put heater packs on my chest, underneath, in between my armpits. And then my concern at that point, I was like, "Hey, did I shit my pants?" And they're like, they just like lift my leg up, and they're like, "Nah, you're good, dude." I was like, sick.
You just crawling, gaining back
They
whatever
say that
dignity
to
you
everybody,
had,
though.
right?
They say that to everybody.
Yeah. There's multiple times that conversation came up
man.
throughout. So yeah, they plug me up and they're ready to short haul me out
On a...
just like, it wasn't a stretcher or a
It was like
rescue
a
basket. I forget what they called it, but
Oh, really? I
It's
thought it was
like
like
a-
a Stokes basket.
no, it wasn't a bad. It was like I felt like I was in a burrito wrap. It was just this big
What's
red
a
wrap.
short haul? What does that mean?
Basically, they're, instead of flying me to the hospital, they're going to lift me up from the site, bring me to a safe location where there's an ambulance waiting.
Well, and like
So-
dangling from the helicopter.
Yeah, so does that, when they come down with that burrito wrapper,
Mhm.
do they drop it and then you hook up and then they come down and hook up, or is it stayed hooked to the
Yeah, so
helicopter
they
the whole
dropped
time?
it and then it didn't stay hooked up.
Okay, so
Yep.
they say get them ready,
Yep,
and then they
come
lower
back.
down a hook,
Yep,
and someone on the ground hooks that,
correct.
and they lift
Yep.
you out.
Yep, and so I think her name was Livy.
No, Lexi.
Lexi, sorry,
And-
Lexi. Lexi, so she tethered in with me. She flew with me. She was great. I think she was on the newer side because when they were talking about who would fly with me.
She was like, "Oh, I've never been
So
up,
she
up
clipped,
this high
she
before."
clipped into the same hook you're clipped
Yep.
into,
Yep.
but on some kind of climbing harness or something. Or
Yeah,
harness.
she had a rescue harness
Okay.
and some diesel equipment that she was tethered with. So we land. There's a lot of people on scene, some rubberneckers. Yeah, and then I had so they load me up into the ambulance, and then they start, checking me out there. One of the rangers, the investigating ranger, came into the ambulance. He introduced himself. He had some questions for me.
Like what? Where's the can?
Yeah, where's the can?
So you say.
Yeah, he just wanted to know some of the finer detail, like just some quick details, so they could have an idea of what happened vaguely before they go out. Then, because they didn't go out to the attack location till the next day. I think they secured it overnight, but they didn't go out there to do the overall investigation until the next day. So he had some questions like, are you sure it was a grizzly? Like I got asked that like 50 times. I'm like, I know black bear. I know it wasn't a black bear. Like it was definitely a grizzly.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, well, what are some identifying features? I'm like, big brown bear, big hump on her back. Like, I don't know. Like
great big claws.
Yeah.
big
You did this
claws.
to me versus running away.
Yeah. And so, my care team was great. They finally hit me with some painkillers, which just took the edge off.
Now, Chloe, are you there at the ambulance?
Just
Yes.
briefly.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is funny because I got in and Shayne's like, don't cry.
I just didn't want her
And
to
just
cry.
get out of the ambulance so I can go. And then they repacked all his wounds, so he was there for like another hour.
Oh.
And you couldn't ride. You couldn't ride in the back with him.
No.
No, I had the dog.
Yeah.
So
Were they taking you to Jackson or to a park?
To Jackson.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at this point, have they begun trying to flush all that bear juice out of there?
So I did mention it because I was like, guys, my hands are really freaking hot right now. I was sweating really bad because of scare of hypothermia. They had the heat cranked up to 1,000 degrees in that.
Yep.
And so yeah, I was like, hey, like I have a lot of bear spray in the back of my head. It's really starting to make me uncomfortable. So they tried to clean it up the best they could. All my wounds that were packed had absorbed all of the gauze had absorbed too much blood, so they had to actually repack everything there. So we sat there for I would say almost an hour.
Yeah.
Wow, they repacked everything. And then we get to the trauma bay, and it was just like I went through the front door, and it was just all of a sudden there's
he made a lot of friends really fast.
A lot of people working on me, touching me, putting another IV in, just assessing everything. The surgeon came in, told me his plan. Chloe shows up. They let Chloe stay in there the whole time before the surgery. Basically just making sure I didn't have anything to eat within a certain time frame. And yeah, they just kind of started to go over just assess and like write up a report on like where all my wounds were so they could go into surgery prepared. The surgeon was like, hey man, we're stapling everything. It's like, if we do sutures, we'll be here till the morning. And I was like, yeah, dude, just do what you got to do. I don't care. So I had a total of 60 staples, 9 sites that needed stapling. And they just did like a deep clean of all the wounds. Secondary or infections are obviously a big concern for grizzly bears or any animal bite for that matter. But grizzly bears are notoriously dirty. So yeah, I got to call my best friend on the phone and tell him what happened. He was expecting like a honeymoon report, and it was the honeymoon of horror. So I forget what news station called it.
I think that was Inside Edition.
Yeah.
They gave us like the best graphic
so
out of
funny.
it.
That's
like,
amazing.
It was so funny.
honeymoon horror.
And I knew we started laughing. That was the first time I started laughing about the situation. Like, I knew I was okay. I'm not like, I've had so much shit happen to me in the last 4 years that I'm just like, if I just sit here and be mad about it or sad about it, it's not going to do me any good. So we had a laugh. My buddy Murphy was just like, dude, like stay out of the woods, dude. And I was like, absolutely not. Like that's where I feel most alive. And I'm still going to do it. A lot of people are like, oh, I bet you won't go back to Wyoming. I'm like, we might move there. Like,
Yeah.
That's not true.
Our friends have been amazing at like keeping our spirits up, like
Yeah.
like teasing him and being like, there's easier ways to get attention rather than getting like hoisted out by helicopter.
Yeah.
Do you feel you'd be any more jumpy
What do you mean?
being in bear country?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think do you picture laying off on real grizzly hotspots?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think we'll be back for at least 2 years anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe
Let's just say, I mean, outside of that, let's just say I said to you, man, let's go check out a spot where there's always a lot of grizzlies hanging around.
depends. Am I going to be like in a vehicle or am I going to be on
just
boots on the
walking.
ground?
Walking.
I don't know.
Groups of 3.
Yeah, in groups of 3.
You're gonna bring spray.
Yeah. I think I'd go.
You do?
Yeah. I mean,
It's still pretty fresh, right?
It's still really fresh. You know, it's only been 3 weeks, right?
no.
I mean, I listened to the Otter podcast, and like those women came on after 9 months, so they had a lot of time to process what happened and talk about it. It's very real to be here right now. Like it's, you know, people are like, "You're already back out west," and I'm like, "Well, I had a pretty cool opportunity. I wasn't going to pass it up."
Yeah.
So
you
it's very
feel
raw.
like, I see what you're saying, like the freshness of it, but you feel like you're comfortable with the idea that down the road you'd spend time in bear country.
I think so. I've struggled with the idea of camping in bear country. I think I would do what you do and bring electric fence. No?
Done that one time.
Oh, just one time?
Yeah.
Okay. But just because, was it Kodiak Island? Yeah.
Well, a fognac, which is essentially the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember
Just
that.
The strategy's changed.
They're separated by a narrow strait, but
Gotcha.
yeah, that's the
Okay.
only time I've used that stuff.
Okay.
I'm not down on it. It's just the only time I've.
No, a good buddy of mine drew an awesome tag in Wyoming for elk this year, and like super dense grizz country, and he's bringing an electric fence there, despite having an untold amount of hours in super dense grizz country in Montana, and never bring an electric fence.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, there's no one way.
Yeah.
And you don't, just because you've done it one way forever doesn't mean you can change. You don't have to change.
Sure.
What it would afford you is at least you'd be able to sleep at night. Good.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
All day you're still doing what you're doing, but at night if it's anything that helps you get a little bit of sleep.
Totally. Yeah.
Did they? I want to get back to the bear. Did they identify it? Did they know it?
They never came out with publicly whether or not they knew what bear it was, but I'm sure they do.
Yeah, they keep pretty good track.
Yeah, I've talked to some people.
No, it could be a bear they haven't.
Yeah.
I mean,
It could be.
a bear they
It
don't have
totally
any
could be.
history with,
I know Bear 399 is a hot topic of the
Oh
situation.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
The photographer's bear.
yeah, it's very,
Yeah, the
very,
most habituated bear ever.
Yeah.
right. But she's
Yeah.
actually attacked 2 people. So, I mean, it's not far fetched. She does have a single cub right now. We were told she was not in the location at the time. And
She's got an alibi.
But then we were also told that like she was like 6 miles away.
Yeah.
Oh.
We've been told a
That
lot
ain't
of things
far.
about
No,
our
6 miles
situation.
for very far, but
Yeah, 6
Two,
miles
though.
is nothing.
even if it was her, I don't care. Like it was a bear. I mean, as far as it was acting naturally, so it doesn't really matter. And to me, it's not like this bear seeked me out and was like, "I'm gonna kill you, motherfucker, for being in my area." Like she had a very real reason to not want me to be alive. So,
Well, yeah, just like you said, you're in a place with a lot of human traffic,
right.
and you peeled off away from all that traffic into what sounds like a nasty blowdown area,
Mhm.
unbeknownst to you,
Right.
but seems like a pretty secluded spot.
Yeah, and you already got scratched anyway, so what's the difference if
Right.
they kill the bear now? It's
Right.
not gonna do you any good.
Yeah.
Was there do you know if there was elk around in there calving where you were at?
I did find elk droppings, but I did not
Yeah.
see any elk. So, yeah. So that's kind of the bulk of it.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of people don't know that those Army cadences that you guys sing sound
Yeah.
a lot like a bawling calf elk, to Brody's point.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
Come get me, bear. Blind in one ear. In the future, would you stick with pepper spray?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said earlier, I
Because
always
you've
feel-
had a lot of training with pistols.
not necessarily pistols.
No. So in
Pistols
the
are.
military, they don't teach you a lot about shooting pistols.
I mean, so
necessarily?
you get familiarized with it, but pistols are mostly reserved for infantry, military police, special
Got it,
forces,
okay,
officers. So your commanding officer will be assigned a pistol, not a rifle. I'm, as being like mostly operating vehicles, I'm just assigned a rifle.
Got it.
Or a machine gun. Like
Got
it depends. Usually we don't give mechanics machine guns because they're the ones getting down, dropping drive shafts and stuff like that. So it'd be silly to give them a machine gun when that's your most casualty producing weapon of the squad. So it doesn't make sense.
Explain that to me.
Most casualty producing weapon. So that's the weapon that's going to lay down the most lead. And
I thought you meant the highest probability of getting that.
no, sorry.
okay,
that
yeah.
would make sense. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah, they don't want, you're supposed to be doing your job, not that
Right,
job.
right.
I got you.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you said a handgun would have done probably.
In my
good.
specific
Yeah.
situation, absolutely. Like maybe if I went for the gun first, shot and that scared it, but me getting an accurate shot on it that wasn't I would just piss the bear off even more. Like,
yeah, if you couldn't even hit the, I mean,
Yeah.
think about the spray. You don't need to aim it that
Right.
good.
I'm not. I'm like, I think 3 seconds is generous. Like how fast it happened.
If you didn't hit that, if you didn't have time to hit that button on that spray and you knew to go for it, you didn't have time to aim a gun.
No, and that's what I'm like. That's what I try to tell people in the comments. Like if I see a comment worth commenting, but I know I've heard the otter.
Everyone in Montana, Idaho, Wyoming is by birth a bear expert.
Yeah.
I will tell you,
it's like by
I
birth.
got this would be like a checking you out charge, not a charge.
That
charge.
was on this show, right?
Well, no, not that one, but
Who was with you? With
that was me.
Oh, okay.
Or on the BC one.
Yeah, we had.
But
yeah,
then there was
we had a
Alaska.
little, but he had another. He had a run in long ago too.
But I was actually working on a grizzly bear DNA project.
Okay.
But super early in the morning, had 2 dogs with me. Coming across the base of this hill, look up on the hillside, giant grizzly bear, biggest grizz I've personally seen in Montana, and it instantaneously turned, and it was probably 200 yards away, and dropped down like full charge and hit the brakes at probably like 50 yards. And this was like a pretty good amount of distance, full line of sight the entire time.
Far, man.
And it just hauled ass, right? And I've thought about that a lot. And I was like, the only way I would have shot that bear is if I would have left my camp that morning with the idea that I am going to kill a bear today.
Yeah.
So be ready.
Let's going
Like
going
an
through the
arcade
woods with your
game.
pistol raised up.
Yeah, exactly. You're just having the mindset of like, I'm going to kill a bear today. So just be ready. I'm going to kill a bear.
Yeah.
Right? Which is just not the situation.
I mean, they can run 35 miles an hour. 30 yards takes a second and a half.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, they're fast. So, yeah, I mean, that, shit your pants or not?
Well, you didn't shit your pants.
Huh?
You didn't shit your pants.
I did not. I'm very, very proud of that. That was one of the first things my buddy Murph asked me. He's like, so you shit your pants? And I was like, no. He's like, no, you must not be that bad then.
But I also think, man, if you got time to shit your pants or piss yourself, it's not really happening.
Did you piss yourself?
No. No. I was pretty dehydrated anyway, but no.
Man.
So you've got
amazing.
a surgery coming up. Then?
Yeah. So my after I was getting discharged, so I was only in the hospital for one night, and
which is amazing.
yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. It was kind of a mind fuck for us. We were kind of like, well, but they basically like, you're not getting any more antibiotics, only oral. You could stay here, but it's gonna cost like $5,000 a night. I'm like, yeah, let's go get a hotel.
Yeah.
Well, because we had to stay in the area because the Rangers had all my stuff, my cell phone, my camera, all my like backpack stuff.
The can.
Yeah, they have the can still. Damn can.
In this situation, do you get any sort of like military medical assistance?
So
VA help
the VA,
at all?
yeah, the VA is definitely going to be a big help.
So you still get VA coverage if you get hurt outside.
Yeah,
of-
because I'm a disabled veteran, so I have a high enough percentage to get free health care.
Okay.
So the only thing, like, yeah, like they're going to cover everything. The ambulance, the hospital, surgery, PT, they'll cover everything.
Recovering that can. Maybe
Maybe.
look into that.
We'll look at, I'll text Justin. No, I shouldn't have said his, I'll text
You
Justin.
said earlier you said she had broken your shoulder.
Yeah.
That's what they're working on now.
That's what
That's
they're
what
gonna do.
the
So they
surgery-
just kind of left it as is, or
So yeah, so
there was
when I was
nothing-
getting discharged, the nurses were kind of putting band-aids on me and stuff, and they're like, just like Chloe helped them, so she had an idea because bless her soul, she's the one that has been. And then now I have, I can move my arm a lot, but the first week I couldn't even button my pants. Like
Yeah.
sitting down to take a shit, like the toilet seat's right on one of my wounds. So uncomfortable to do anything.
So did you two drive all the way home too?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. We had to finish out the honeymoon in style.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
if we didn't, we're just gonna be very.
When you turn that van
upset.
in, how was everything?
Oh man, yeah. The windshield
van?
the windshield got cracked by a rock from a car, so that's been a fiasco to deal with. Yeah,
You just can't win.
no, dude. So they were dressing my wounds for me to be discharged, and they were like,
They just noticed like this deformity in his shoulder, like this little knob.
yeah, they knew my shoulder was messed up. Like I told them I was in a lot of pain there, and so
But
they're
the
like,
nurse was like, "Does that always look like that?" And I'm like, "No."
I like looked over, I was like, oh, what is that?
I can see it
And-
right now.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Do that again?
Yeah,
There's literally
that
a-
knob there.
knob right here.
Oh, yeah, look at
that's
that.
The bone.
Sorry.
Was that like that before?
So she was like, oh, this looks like
Have you always
AC.
had a protruding knob on your shoulder?
They thought it was just a dislocation. They're like, that should reset. Let me talk to the ortho and see
Oh.
if he'll come in and look at it. And he's like, yeah, it looks like AC separation. Just follow up with your ortho back home. And I'm
Oh
like,
God.
sure.
Didn't they give you like X-rays and stuff?
No.
I know. Be like,
It's-
gang, we're already here.
Yeah, it's
The
kind of
VA's
crazy.
paying for it.
That's kind of crazy. I
I
try not to dwell on that.
No one
Yeah.
x-rayed your shoulder.
No.
I guess I feel my sense is that emergency medicine's trying to like move away from just like nuking everyone with radiation, like CT scans right off the bat. One of my friends has had like so many emergency room visits in the last year that she's like surprised that she's not glowing in the dark from all the radiation. So like I could appreciate that, but at the same time we got home and I just felt so bad that like we took 2 weeks driving home and this man has a broken shoulder and we're just like, yeah, you're fine.
Well, so you guys didn't like rock and roll home. You
No, it took 2
continued
weeks.
honeymooning.
yeah.
We didn't we had to change our itinerary and everything.
Well, plus, just how is like crawling into your makeshift dirtbag
Oh no,
bed in
we
the back
rented.
of the van?
We stayed in
Okay.
hotels and
Okay.
stayed
Yeah,
at
and-
friends' houses along the way.
Yeah, so basically we just wanted to like stay with the friends that we were already planning on seeing and just to give him kind of some time to recuperate. Give
Then
me
you had to
some
tell
time
that
to
story
recuperate.
1,000 times. Anytime you went to anybody's house.
Yeah.
How's it been going? Well,
Been talking about it quite a bit, which is fine. I think for me that's therapeutic in a way. Yeah, I keeps the story alive, I guess, in my head. The first thing I did when I got my phone is I wrote that post before I even thought about posting it, but I just wanted to have all that information down while it was still fresh.
How long was it before the phone started ringing from like?
Now, as soon as I
Media.
made that post, I would say for the first week I was getting 50 to 70 phone calls a day.
Gee.
My inbox on Instagram was just crazy. That's why I didn't see Corinne's message right away. Janis ended up messaging me, and I follow him, so it went straight to my inbox. Yeah, the media's been crazy. The media's really like, so essentially, like they really kind of kept her out of it and made her seem like a damsel in distress. And I was like, no, like she helped save my life. She contributed a ton to it. And then the other extreme, they would go the opposite way. They were like, Chloe, paramedic, rushes into action. And it's like,
I'm clearly not a paramedic. I was put in my place that day.
some places were like, Shayne Burke, combat hardened veteran, disabled veteran, fights off Grizzly. I'm like, dude, very modest about my combat time. It was very minimal. Like most of the time anything that happened to me in Iraq, it was just the insurgents basically just trying to annoy us. So, combat, I wouldn't even say combat, just sit in, a lot of times it's just indirect fire or just randomly shooting at our trucks when we drive by, and some IEDs and stuff. But it was never like, I wasn't running and gunning, kicking doors in and looking for Saddam myself. or
Yeah,
anything
just getting
like that.
randomly shot at and blown up is fine.
That's fine. That's
plenty
normal.
from where I'm sitting. So yeah.
So yeah, and then what really, really pissed me off, there's this YouTube video that he got all of his facts within less than 24 hours of the bear attack. So
and then made one of those dumb videos.
Yeah.
Like
And
those
it is
news, those like
bad. It's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
It's super bad.
It
There's
has a
nothing right.
disclaimer that says, please respect the victim and their family. And we're literally in the comments like, none of this is accurate. Please
And then he would just delete the
get
comment
your,
right away.
your facts
Like,
straight.
dude. So that sucked. And I've had some like, hate mail. Like people have been like, oh, you should have died up there. Like,
because of what?
because they're just, I don't know.
No, what's the criticism?
So a lot of people, not a lot of people, I would say it's been overwhelmingly supportive.
Yeah.
Absolutely overwhelming. Jackson in particular, big shout out to Jackson. I can't even thank Jackson as a whole enough for the care, the
hospitality.
The hospitality was through the
People
roof.
being really kind to us.
So, but there's some people, 399's fan group, were trying to tell people that spread rumors that we were out there over a carcass trying to harass bears.
Yeah. 3 days prior to the attack.
Yeah, we had only been in Tetons for a couple hours.
And not the type of harassment where you just parallel them on the interstate all frickin' day long with telephoto lenses and not that harassment.
Not at all.
People on that Bears fan page.
Yeah. I had a few messages like, "Oh, you're no hero," and I was like, "I never said I was a hero." I was like, "Self-preservation doesn't make you a hero." I survived.
Yeah, you just did a plank in a bear's mouth.
Right. Yeah. It's like I just survived something that was really traumatic.
Where's this? What was the thing? What about sitting on a carcass? What did they say?
So this woman messaged me and she was like, she's like, you're not a hero. The people in Jackson are, just so you know, they're saying that you did this and no one believes your story. And I'm like, okay. Like I was super respectful. I have, and then there's just other people that were like,
who in their right mind would go stand next to an elk carcass?
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
One of the best arguments for grizzly bear recovery is that you get enough of them that none of them have a name.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
or even a number.
The whole idea of like fandom around individual animals.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. And I don't, it doesn't bother me because at the end of the day, like when these people are setting this stuff to me, I'm just like, all right, someone's parents didn't love them and it shows.
My favorite misconception was just be honest. It wasn't a bear. Tell us what it was.
Yeah. I was like,
this person's like angling for like
aliens.
What kind of cryptid was
I don't know if that's what they were trying to go with or if they're like, you did this to yourself somehow. I don't know.
I think with your history of baiting bucks into wedges.
If anybody can orchestrate a bear attack,
it's the old deer guy.
At it again.
It's the crack buck guy.
Yeah.
Damn, what an adventure.
Yep.
You glad it happened or bummed that it happened?
I'm bummed. I'm not, I like being under the radar. So like my Instagram following went from like 2,000 people to over 12,000.
They're just waiting for what's next.
Yeah. That's a little something I'm not used to, I guess. I'm thankful for some opportunities that did come out of it, and I'm just thankful to be alive. And I hope that if anything, like people just learn from this experience the best they can, and maybe it'll prevent one other one. Because it is, I know like the Otter podcast was like one of the ones I listened to on the way here, so it's really in my mind. But you mentioned that you kind of want to have like a soft encounter with a grizzly.
Yeah, just a little touch.
Yeah,
you got a little
this is
more
as little. I don't know. This is like
no, I don't want that much.
Maybe the softest an attack could be.
This was.
I want it to come up and it's going to be like, listen, I'm going to scratch you right in the chest.
This was.
Let me know when you're ready.
This is definitely
okay. Do it. I'm ready.
This is a very mild attack, all things considered.
A little too heavy duty for me.
Yeah, it sucks. My tissue in my legs is like really tight right now, so it's like not hard to walk, but I feel it. I feel like when I kneel down, I'm stretching it. It feels really bizarre. And the shoulder's just a really big setback because that's going to hurt my climbing. I don't know if I'll be able to hunt this year. I might try to apply for a temporary crossbow license, but then I got to buy a crossbow. So it's kind of like, I might just sit this year out.
Oh, we can, no, we can figure out a crossbow for you. We can help you out.
There's plenty of cliffs that you can lure.
Bait more.
Yeah, right.
Out there,
Got a good boulder set up.
Yeah, it just it'd be cool.
He's jamming apples down that.
Now we play the waiting game.
Yeah, so that would be cool if I could get a temporary crossbow license, because then I could hunt, and that'd be sweet. Because I've put actually a lot of time in one of these zones.
I'm pretty sure they'll give you one.
Yeah. Oh, come on, you'll figure it out, man. Yeah. We'll make some calls and find you a crossbow.
Right. That'd be cool.
But I gotta say, I was not certain what you'd look like when you walked in here today.
Yeah.
And, you know,
You thought he looked a little more beat up.
yeah, privately, I thought maybe I won't be the worst looking guy at the podcast table. But like I mean, if a guy saw you on the street, unless they knew what they're looking for, like, I'm just shocked that it was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because some of those photos are pretty overwhelming.
Yeah. I've always bounced back pretty quick.
Yeah.
And all these injuries I had.
Yeah,
like,
dude, you're a survivor, man.
Yeah. Every like the eye injury, you know, I was like, I got to deploy to Poland. Like, I want to go. Like, you gotta fix me, doc. And she's like, this is like a year-long situation. They fixed me up in 6 weeks. She was like, she's like, everything has to go exactly right for you to go to Poland.
She said better than perfect.
Yeah.
So at the post-op appointment, I was like, how does it feel to be better than perfect?
Wow.
The brain surgery, I bounced back really fast. I was, like I said, 2 months after I was hunting, you know, by myself.
You know, I get these ingrown toenails.
Yeah. Oh, those suck though, man. Those suck. I've got one.
You want to talk about pain?
I see you're off your wrist brace there.
Oh, I also get a slight carpal tunnel.
Oh man.
So I'm
slight carpal.
I'm feeling
I'll send you a sympathy card.
I'm feeling you. No, yeah, you've been through hell.
Yeah.
Hope to, I don't know if I want you to keep it up.
Yeah.
Or if I want you to chill out.
No,
You need like a little good luck streak now.
I
man.
do.
You guys gonna take a second chance at a honeymoon, or you feel like you got it taken care of?
So next summer we'll be back in Montana. A company or organization rather called Operation Second Chance reached out to me. And it's basically like disabled veterans or Purple Heart recipient retreat. So a couples retreat. So
that's cool.
Yeah. So they reached out and were like, hey man, like actually this wonderful wildlife photographer out of Montana named Colleen. I want to say she was the first person I responded to on Instagram. She's been super, super sweet this whole time. She's like, if you ever want to come back, I'll show you where there's great gray owls you can photograph. She sent me a care package. She got me hooked up with this Second Chance organization.
You photographers sticking together.
Yeah. Total sweetheart. She's been awesome. So yeah, I think that's
some stuff to look forward to.
Yeah. I think that'll be the time. Unfortunately, like working for the government, time off is like, I have generous time off. However, like this is going to set me back so far that I got to like tiptoe around what we're going to get for time, what I'll have for time off.
Yeah. That's working for the Army. I know some guys that work for the government. They got nothing but time off.
Yeah. So I like I said, it can be generous, but because I'm at 0 right now, essentially, after this surgery, I'll have to accrue some time off, but we'll see. By the time we get there, I'll have a couple weeks stashed up.
Get a job at the ARS, dude.
Yeah.
Non-stop time off.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us. Big fans. So yeah, really happy to be here.
Stay safe out there.
Thank you.
Don't forget your bear spray.
I won't.
Never again.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
My pleasure.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.